Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
To be able to get in the college football playoff. Of the 3 games I mentioned, if they win at least one of those, guess what? They'll finish 10-2, and they'll be in the college football playoff without fail. So I think when it all comes down to it, that's really what this is about, team success as much as it is individual success. And if Arch has this team playing well and winning 10 games, I think the Heisman numbers are going to be there to back that up just based off of the offense that they play and how they move the football.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a 2-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in 2-catcher leagues. But in a 1-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, I can't hear it. All right, welcome in. Here we go. It is Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. A very happy Friday to you as we are getting ready for what should be a pretty big weekend, especially after now we know who are the sellers, who are the buyers for Major League Baseball. We saw a ton of trades come down over the last 24 hours or so. So the big question remains, well, who's going to win using all those trades and who's not? We're going to find out rather early here as, of course, the New York Yankees will get to see all of their new toys come to fruition here in just a little while today. How about the New York Mets? We're going to get a chance to get to see what the new New York Mets looks like as everybody is trying to catch, well, who's in first place right now? The Houston Astros in the American League West made a absolute huge move yesterday, bringing back one of their favorite players there in Carlos Correa. So now he goes home, and we got a little bit of a homecoming of sorts there for Carlos Correa with the Astros holding on to that lead in the American League West. And then, of course, the Toronto Blue Jays have pushed all in on hoping, praying that Shane Bieber will be back to what Shane Bieber was, even though he's coming off of Tommy John surgery. He's had a couple of rehab starts here, but he plans in another couple of weeks of joining the rotation of the Toronto Blue Jays. Will that be enough? Because we all know what the New York Yankees did yesterday, bolstering that bullpen. So they're not going to need a whole lot from their starters. Can they get to 5 innings, 6 innings, and get it to the bullpen? That's what the New York Yankees, and quite honestly, the New York Mets are also hoping to do, is the Mets added Cedric Mullins there late yesterday to bolster that center field position, not to mention they got a lot of new arms in that bullpen. So this is going to be over the next couple of weeks. We're going to see who overpaid. We're going to see who made exactly the right moves. Going to be a whole lot of fun watching it all go down. In the meantime, we had our first taste of the NFL. It is back, and we got to watch it in epic form last night, and I hope you guys watched it. Nobody seems to want to admit that they watched preseason football last night, but we all know you dabbled a little bit in it as the Chargers opened up the season, handing the Detroit Lions just a head-scratching effort by the Lions, who I was hoping to get, well, an idea of what are these two new coordinators with the Detroit Lions. Well, what are they going to bring to the table here? Well, we never really got to see what their new offensive coordinator brought to the table because, well, they just couldn't hold on to the ball and turned it over. It seemed like every other play, certainly in the first half, Kyle Allen was a hot mess. Nobody seemed to be in sync or have any idea exactly what the game plan offensively was. That's not a good sign. In the meantime, have we all learned that we never bet against any head coach with the last name Harbaugh in the NFL? Because when it comes to preseason football, the Harbaughs have absolutely no problem covering numbers. And, of course, we got another Harbaugh to cover last night in a big way. But outside of that game last night, man, everybody wants to be traded. Everybody's asking for a trade. We learned this morning that apparently it is not going well with the Commanders and Terry McLaurin, their stud wide receiver. He is requesting a trade and wants out of Commanderville there. Why? Well, they just can't seem to get on the same page with a new contract extension, which would be the third of Terry McLaurin's career with the Commanders. And he is looking at, well, just about every other guy here who has gotten a new contract in the NFL when it comes to the wide receiver spot. And of course, DJ Metcalf just got what, $33 million a year from Pittsburgh, coming over from Seattle. The problem with Terry McLaurin is going to be he's 30 years old. He's going to be 31 years old when this contract kicks in, whatever this new contract may be. And we all know that by the time you get to 30, 31, yeah, you don't want to be paying big money to a 33, 34-year-old wide receiver because the prime has come and gone. Not saying he's not worth it to this Commanders team, but DJ Metcalf is 2 years younger than what Terry McLaurin. In fact, there is only one wide receiver in the NFL over the age of 30 that is actually making $30 million or more. And that receiver resides in Miami, and his name is Tyreek Hill. So it'll be interesting to see if these two can come to some sort of agreement, but it's a trade request in which the Commanders have said they have no desire to trade Terry McLaurin in any way, shape, or form. But I bet that phone will be ringing, and who can blame teams like, oh, I don't know, maybe the Buffalo Bills will pick up the phone and call and see if there's any interest. In the meantime, we knew all along that Jerry was going to have some problems with Micah Parsons, right? We knew Jerry was probably in all likelihood going to go back and forth with this, but ultimately the day before the season starts, he'd show up and write the check. Well, Micah Parsons is done waiting, because now he, too, has requested a trade. He, too, wants out of Dallas. He says, quote, I no longer want to be here. Well, boy, that makes a whole lot of sense there. And there are a number of teams that would jump in on the Micah Parsons bandwagon if he is available. But I think, and we have been down this road when it comes to good old Jerry before, they will figure it out before it is all said and done. But it's just amazing how Terry McLaurin goes, you know what? I'm here. I'm at camp. I'm not losing $50,000 a day for not being here. I'm not participating in anything. I'm signing a lot of autographs. But he says he wants out this morning. And then, of course, Micah Parsons, well, guess what? Yeah, now he wants out since his contract is not even remotely close to being finished just yet. Will Jerry cave in? Will they trade him? I think Terry McLaurin might have a better opportunity of playing for a different team than Micah Parsons will this season. So the NFL drama is alive and well after the very first preseason game is in the books last night. And by the way, did anybody happen to catch that new virtual spotting of the ball last night? That is going to be a new little wrinkle this year in the NFL, as they will no longer be running the chain gang out there measuring to see if the spot was good enough for a first down. They're going to be doing it virtually with 8K cameras all over the place. I guess they can save maybe 40 seconds or so of time in an NFL game. Why that matters, I have no idea, because if you can't challenge where the ref spotted the ball, then what difference is it if it tells you whether or not it's a first down if the spot is wrong? But welcome to the new NFL and new technology. And we got plenty of it here as well. We're just getting started. Game Time Decisions on a Friday continues here on the Grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in on this Friday. It is Game Time Decisions, and we've got plenty of them to make here as a loaded Major League Baseball slate on tap here tonight, heading into this first weekend after craziness yesterday. That would have been the Major League Baseball trade deadline, where a lot of different guys wearing a whole lot of different jerseys today and this weekend than they were just 24 hours ago. Here to make heads or tails of it all, let's bring in our good friend Tom Vecchio, where the good news is, Tom, I don't believe the Montreal Expos traded anybody. That's good news. Bad news is we've already seen, we saw Cincinnati beat Atlanta earlier. Kudos. We have one big game coming up in a NASCAR stadium tomorrow, which I think is fantastic. And then we got Baltimore and the Cubs, in which, well, I didn't see a pitcher's battle coming in that game earlier today, 1-0. But I'll say it again. We talked about it this morning, you and I, on the early line. The Cubs were disappointing with maybe just a lack of moves that they went out and did, simply because they got a lot of teams that they've got to chase down here, I think, if they're truly going to represent the National League in the World Series. And I don't know how much better this team is today than they were 24 hours ago.
Yeah, I think this is a situation where both things or multiple things can be true, where the Cubs didn't make enough moves. They didn't make enough moves when it comes to the pitching. I think their lineup is good, but the pitching and the bullpen needed work. But they did get a pretty easy landing spot, or an easy series to start things off with the Orioles, who obviously traded away a ton of different players. So, yeah, they didn't make enough moves when it's all said and done, and I don't think that they're better than the Mets or the Phillies, given the moves that they made, or the Dodgers. But they have a pretty easy go at things to get this side of the trade deadline going. As for the Reds and the Braves, good to see the Reds get a win. It was a close, they give 2 runs in the top of the 9, something like that. But yeah, tomorrow's game at the Bristol Motor Speedway should be super interesting. Yes. I'm expecting a ton of runs there.
Well, you should expect a ton of tickets sold too, because last check, over 85,000 tickets have been sold to Bristol tomorrow to watch, of all teams, the Braves and the Reds. And it only holds 90,000 times. So this should be, I can't wait to see what the optics look like tomorrow for that one. We did also get some news a little while ago that the Yankees, with all these new pitchers that they ended up getting, well, they had to make some room, and it looks like Marcus Stroman was the guy that ended up getting a boot. And it's unfortunate because ever since he came back off the IL, he's actually been real serviceable for the Yankees, but somebody's got to go, and Stroman was that guy.
Yeah, it was him. They're also expected to get Luis Heel back, I believe, on Sunday for a start. So, yeah, they didn't make a trade for a pitcher and someone that has to be let go at a certain point. But getting Heel back is obviously a boost for them. The bullpen looks much better now. The defense looks better. Can they put all the pieces together and then actually start winning games? And then, of course, when Judge comes back, where's he at? He's 75%, 80%. He's only going to be DHing to start. What does the outfield look like? So they made good moves. They just got to put it in use now.
Yes, they do. And the Yankees, of course, coming up a little bit later here in my neck of the woods in South Florida. Rodon versus Junk in this one. 7.5 was the total. We have seen Miami money come rolling in here. I don't know about that. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking this is an under. And you could make the case that the Yankees, the bullpen's much better, but I'm still worried about the lineup. So I think you can maybe play the Marlins to start at plus 135, solely waiting for the fact that you could get the Yankees in game at plus money, knowing that the bullpen is that much better. And the same thing can be said about a lot of different teams and/or games. One of the examples I was just thinking of would be the Giants and the Mets. Like, we can make the argument that Robbie Ray is slightly better than David Peterson. So I think there's a chance that the Giants' first 5 comes through, but then the Mets' full game still comes through because, A, their bullpen has been upgraded, but also the Giants' bullpen has been downgraded. They traded Doval to the Yankees. So you can find all these circumstances where, like, the Yankees not scoring today wouldn't surprise me, and therefore the Marlins 1-0 after 5, but you get the Yankees live at plus money knowing that their bullpen's better. Like, we can find the best of both worlds across a lot of different games today.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how some of these teams fare, including Toronto was another team, Tom, that I expected to make some moves. And they pushed all in on Shane Bieber coming back from Tommy John surgery here in a couple of weeks to catapult them into a postseason run. They've got the Royals, who, ironically enough, made a whole ton of moves as well here over the trade deadline. What do you think?
I'm thinking this game is all about the under. Now, I do think the Blue Jays made some good moves. Again, their pitching staff is the thing that I think has surprised me the most. I always thought their lineup would be good enough to score runs, but the pitching staff is the thing that, coming into the season, I should say, the pitching staff was going to be the thing that would hold them back. And they've been much better than I expected. Getting Bieber is nice on paper, but what does he actually look like? Because on July 29th, he made a rehab start. It was only 58 pitches and threw 4 innings. Is he going to be ready in a week from now, in 2 weeks from now? Are they going to use him and say, you just need to go out there and give us 3 innings, and they're going to have some type of abbreviated bullpen game? But under 8 would be my play. The Royals just don't score, and Gossman has been solid this season.
He has been solid here, but it's going to be interesting. I'm with you. Walker's a cash cow to the under there. And then, of course, a game we talked about this morning we like a lot. I mean, the Twins not only dismantled their team, they're going to be sold probably in the next year. So you're going to get new ownership group. This is bye-bye, Twins. Are we backing them here tonight, though, against the Guardians?
We can't possibly back them. I just saw a tweet a little while ago before I came on where, they tweeted out the roster moves. 7 or 8 players that they so calling up all these players from AAA, selecting contract, whatever the verbiage that they want to use. It was a complete fire sale from them, literally and figuratively, as you said. They're moving the players and the franchise. But their lineup is terrible. That is a non-competitive lineup. Joe Ryan is very good. He's a very, very good pitcher, and he's better than Gavin Williams on the other side. But this is a play for the full game because I think the Guardians will come through with the win.
All right, Tom, stay right there, Tom. When we come back here, I got a couple of late games I want to get your thoughts on, and I want to get your feeling on what we're doing here in the NFL with Terry McLaurin and, of course, Micah Parsons. Will they be traded? Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the LIV Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me LIV stats every week.
I love that you get LIV stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. Worth it.
So, here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? When did I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here. Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network as we look to close this hour out together. Much more still to get to here. Let's bring in our good friend Tom Vecchio again. Tom, we got a couple of really good late games here tonight because I'm looking very forward to seeing round 2 between Seattle and Texas. Seattle, well, they struck first yesterday. They got a lot of energy. They got a new look. They got a lot of bats. But Texas is not going to go quietly into the night here. What do you think we get in round 2?
Well, the money line's a bit much. Minus 190. Despite what I think of Logan Gilbert, I think he's absolutely awesome. I think it's a bit heavy. I do like the under when it's all said and done. Jack Leiter, he's been okay this season. There's been some ups and downs, a little bit inconsistent. It really comes down to the Texas Rangers lineup. I don't think they're going to get to Logan Gilbert. So I don't like them at the price of -190, but I still think they win, and I think the under hits. I don't see this as a 6-5 type of game. It's 3-1, maybe 4-2. The Mariners come through, and this is a game that I will be looking to play live just because I want it closer to even money. If you gave me -150, I would play it right now.
Yeah, back at some strong outings lately for Jack Leiter, too, but those were at home. On the road, he's a different pitcher here. Maybe even Seattle in the first 5. Laying that half a run might not be a bad look. All right, everyone wants to be traded who doesn't have a contract, Tom, in the NFL. Let's start with Terry McLaurin of the Commanders. Does he sign a deal? Is he worth it at 30, 31 years old? What do you think?
So I think they should pay him. And I understand that he's 30, and I understand, you give him a 3-year deal, 4-year deal, whatever it is, and he's going to be paid $30+ million, comparable to other contracts that have recently been signed with DK Metcalf or Cortland Sutton. They're both younger than him, whatever it might be. Here's my take on it. They have a rookie quarterback who's very good on a rookie contract. You need to maximize that window, and you need to maximize the talent around him. Every offseason, Schefter or Rappaport will tweet out, this team restructured a deal and they're going to give the money to him as a signing bonus. And poof, you have now $18 million of cap space freed up just because it's awarded as a signing bonus or whatever it is. So if you just pay Terry now, 2 or 3 years when he's 33 and that contract looks crazy, restructure it as every team does, and then you have that money just simply freed up because you're going to maximize the rookie contract for Jaden Daniels. So he's not going to be worth that contract in a couple of years, but he is right now. So just do it and then make the contract shenanigans work. And Schefter will tweet it out and be like, they solved it. What do you know?
Probably exactly what's going to happen there with their stud young quarterback. They still don't have to pay him, so I think they'll be covered here. You got to give him a target that he can rely upon. Now, let me ask you about Dallas, though, because Micah Parsons is not handling shots from old man Jerry anymore. He wants out. And listen, people will pay, and they could essentially receive such a haul of picks here, Tom, that the Cowboys could hit the reset button. What do you think they do?
Ultimately, I think he gets paid. I don't think he gets traded. And the only comp would be that everyone's talking about today would be the Khalil Mack trade, a number of years ago when the Raiders were still in Oakland, I guess, at that time. But Jerry Jones doesn't make things easier. Like, when you hear about contract disputes and you hear about, Trey Hendrickson or whatever, Terry McLaurin, whatever it is, the owner's not out there, egging on the player, being like, Jerry Jones is saying things at training camp to the media, and that only makes the situation worse. So Micah Parsons deserves to be paid like one of the best edge rushers in the league, as we just saw TJ Watt get signed. But Jerry Jones does not make the situation easier. And, as we were talking about during the break, whether it's with Dak or CeeDee Lamb, whatever, they're just going to drag this thing out, and that makes things worse. Why are you treating your star players like this? We've seen this time and time again, and will always be about the Cowboys. The day Jerry Jones steps down is the day they will actually start to compete.
Boy, they could they legit could. If they were to even entertain this, my goodness, the amount of picks that they could get for a, 26-year-old just coming into his prime at one of the most important positions on the defensive side. And that's a reset option there if Dallas truly doesn't think they've got a chance to win anything, and why tie the money up with them. Time will tell. Don't forget, Myles Garrett did this with the Browns last year, and you remember, trade me, I want out. Thanks for everything, Cleveland. Yeah, well, he's still there, and they gave him all that money. So should be interesting as the NFL preseason is underway. Essentially, the season's underway, Tom. So we got a lot more NFL to talk about coming up. Some great games in Major League Baseball. You and I we'll be together on Sunday. Should be a whole lot of fun going over it. We appreciate it as always. We got another hour of Game Time Decisions coming up next here on the Grid.
Joaquin Niemann wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point, probably, maybe 10? So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey come off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY is going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? When did I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in and a very happy Friday to you now. Welcome to August. Can you believe it? August the 1st. And we have got football on our minds for sure, as we got our very first preseason game last night and much more to come from here on out. It's official. Football is back. I'm Joe Raineri. Want to thank you so much for hanging out with us here as we're getting ready for a big weekend in Major League Baseball, as well as the trade deadline is now come and gone. And wow, trying to make sense of it all. Winners and losers at the trade deadline. Who stayed pat? Who did get better? Will it all matter ultimately at the end of the day? You still got to play the games. And while Major League Baseball, and I still got 2 months worth of games here to play as the regular season goes through to the end of August, end of September, let's not forget. So a lot can happen from this point moving forward. And we're going to get our first look at a lot of new guys in new uniforms coming up here tonight. In fact, we've got Detroit and Philadelphia. Currently, that game is delayed. This was going to be one that we were very interested in tonight, as Suarez taking the mound for the Phillies. Flaherty for Detroit. Now, Detroit couldn't win a game in July if everything depended on it. But then, fortunately enough, they ran into the Arizona Diamondbacks in the last couple of games before the end of the month. And, well, all seems right with Detroit. I am not so sure with that, and I don't trust Jack Flaherty here in this spot on the road against a Phillies team that you got to appreciate it. They needed a closer. They knew it. And what'd they do? Well, they went out and got one of the best over the last couple of seasons there from the Minnesota Twins. So Philadelphia, I think, is on track to make their customary push here now come August and September. And then you got to look at, well, the Padres. It should come to no shock that the Padres and A.J. Peller have, well, they just push all the chips in the center of the table. It feels like they do this every year. I mean, think about over the last couple of seasons, some of the biggest trades and some of the biggest moves have involved the Padres with some of the biggest names. And my goodness, and all the guys that we thought were going to be traded. Guys like Suarez, their closer currently, who's a free agent at the end of the year. Once they signed Mason Miller, you had to think, well, there's no reason to keep Suarez because Mason Miller is under contract for the next couple of years. Well, no, they ended up keeping him. They ended up keeping Dylan Cease as well. Michael King is on his way back for the Padres. And, oh, yeah, they got themselves a pretty darn good lefty in J.P. Sears. The only problem with J.P. Sears is that he pitched in Sacramento and then Oakland prior to that. So not great, but he is about to walk into J.P. Sears, a San Diego team and a ballpark very conducive to pitchers, unlike that ballpark they playing in Sacramento right now. And what can he be and what can he add to that starting rotation? Listen, I think the Padres down 3 games. Can they catch the Dodgers? Sure they can. The problem is, it feels like for the last couple of years, we're having this same conversation at the same time of year all the time. Well, they got the horses, they got the pieces, they can go catch the Dodgers, and they never do. So the big question here is, will any of it matter come the end of September and to start in October? Because the markets, folks, are telling you it doesn't matter. The market is telling you that the Dodgers are going to win the National League pennant, and they remain as champion. Well, they remain the favorite to win it all. So they have got some reinforcements on the way back. They didn't make a whole heck of a lot of moves at the trade deadline, but they've got Ohtani coming back to that starting rotation. Glass now is starting to get into it. And tonight, they are going with Clayton Kershaw on the road against the Tampa Bay Rays, who I can't figure out if are you sellers, are you buyers? What are you, Rays? I don't understand the moves that they made, but they are in the Dodgers are in Tampa here for a final road series before they head back home. It's been quite a long road series for them. I think this was a 10-game road trip here, so this will be the final weekend before they can head back home. But Kershaw versus Boz on the mound here tonight, and I've seen a 35-cent move to the Tampa Bay Rays here, who have, let's face it, since the end of June, the entire month of July, the Rays have been absolutely terrible, which is why most people thought they would just be sellers when it all came down to it by yesterday. But they ended up making some moves, including going out and getting themselves a pretty good closer in Griffin Jax from Minnesota. Wait, what? They also signed Adrian Hauser from the Chicago White Sox. Wait, what? This is a Rays team that is 8-21 since the 27th of June, and they're out making moves, making it seem like they were just a closer and a starter away from actually making a run at this. I'm not buying it. Also, they had a couple of guys pretty hurt in that rain-delayed game against the Yankees yesterday. Yandy Diaz exited that game with a forearm issue. Chandler Simpson also left, had a finger issue. Jonathan Aranda had a wrist issue. And this is all of a sudden a 30-cent move towards the Tampa Bay Rays at home, who had to play a 5-6 hour game in the Bronx yesterday because the Dodgers, were already in Tampa. The Dodgers were in Tampa before the Rays were in Tampa yesterday. Don't get that line move. Very suspicious. The total also has dropped now from 8.5 to 7.5. But got to play the game, right? That's ultimately what it is all about. And we got a couple of pretty good games here. We'll get to see the New York Yankees in action against the Miami Marlins. A lot of people thought Alcantara was going to just switch locker rooms there and be a New York Yankee wearing their uniform for this weekend series. Did not work out that way here for Miami and the Yankees, but the Yankees got a lot of shiny new toys that they're going to get to play around with. And because of that, guys like Marcus Stroman had to be let go, who, listen, held down the fort when the Yankees didn't have a whole heck of a lot to go to while their pitchers were dropping like flies. But They got plenty of reinforcements, plenty of left-handed batters in this lineup here tonight, even without Aaron Judge. You got to like the price and the opportunity for the Yankees to get it done here tonight. A lot of other games, including the Mets at home at Citi Field. They, too, have a lot of shiny new toys they can roll out here tonight. Will it matter? Because the Giants, well, who are we kidding? The Giants stink. They can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. But, hey, they do have Rafael Devers. I guess maybe that counts for something. Pretty good pitching battle there. Nick Pivetta for the Padres tonight. We'll get to see if they have all the right moves and all the right pieces to start making a run at the Dodgers. The Cardinals, Liberatore on the mound, late game. Unfortunately for the Cardinals, they won a lot of games they probably shouldn't have won in the first half. But the Cardinals organization realizes we're not beating anybody this year. Arenado hits the IL, by the way, today. A lot more moves coming for the Cards. And we got more moves, too, as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions. A very happy Friday to you. A lot of Major League Baseball underway right now as we've got Detroit and Philadelphia in Philly. Flaherty against Suarez, bottom of the first, no score there. Houston with Hunter Brown on the mound at Fenway, no score there as they just started. And Minnesota and Cleveland also underway, no score in that one. The good news is all of these games you can follow along coming up top of the hour for In-Game Live with our next guest, the one and only Mr. Scott Wetzel in the house. He'll be taking you on this ride here tonight. Him and Gabe Morency following all the action here, and some interesting games just started here. Scott, I think the Mets and San Francisco is an interesting one. It felt like an under to me, except it got some over money late. Robbie Ray versus Peterson. Were you leaning one way or the other with this new look New York Mets team?
Yeah, I like the Mets. I just swept them in a series out in San Francisco last week. Basically, Giants have lost 6 straight. They trade away Yastrzemski. Not he was the face of the franchise by any stretch, but they didn't add on any pieces, so they clearly made the decision they've given up versus added on. Whereas the Mets, obviously, just the opposite, like I mentioned, with all the relievers and everything, and Mullins in center field. They're great at home as well, Joe. 37-16 at home. Excuse me. So you got a team that's in the Giants, lost 6 in a row, 11-24. They've been horrible since they acquired, Rafael Devers, whether you want to blame him or not, but that's clearly where they're flipped. 9 games over 500 before they got him, and 9 games under after they acquired him. So whether it's his fault or not, this is not the same Giant team we saw the first month of the season. So give me the Mets minus the 144. Not a bad little price for the Mets at home.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's actually it's a bit of a low price, and I am with you there. By the way, Devers has already been up in this game, and yeah, no, you know how that works. No hit for him. Let's talk about the Yankees in South Florida here against the Marlins. A lot of people thought maybe the Marlins were going to do a little bit more selling yesterday, but no, Cabrera, Contra, Jesus Sanchez were the only one that really was the big trade for them. Outside of that, they stayed put here. What do you think their chances are tonight against the Yanks and Rodon?
Yeah, I'll tell you, Joe, this is kind of like the first of a series bet. Sometimes I bet series where I'll take a team and I'm going to tell myself, right, you know what, I'm going to bet them 3 straight times. Or if they win the first 2, I might hop off after the first 2. This is one of them. I think the Marlins will be underdogs every game this series. Excuse me. And you're getting plus 140 tonight, and Miami, I tell you what, I don't know if it's a fluke or what, but I think it's past that stage. They're 26-13 their last 39 games, Joe, including 10-4 their last 14. They're 10-2 their last 14 series, which kind of incorporates that 26-13. So they've been playing good baseball, not like average, but good baseball for the last month plus. So you want to give me plus 140 tonight, and I imagine they'll be dogs again tomorrow and Sunday. Yankees only 4-5 their last 9 games overall. So I'll take a shot at the Marlins tonight, tomorrow, and Sunday.
What are you thinking here? The new look Seattle Mariners, huh? They got it done last night. Yeah. Tonight, round 2 here, Logan Gilbert on the mound. Do we like them at home against this Rangers team?
Well, you have to, right? Listen, it's a big number, minus 190, 90 and change, 192. So you may want to put them in a parlay. I wouldn't necessarily lay the 1.5. But Seattle just owns Texas for whatever reason. Whether it's these new guys were acquired or not, I'd still be betting Texas. 8-2 this year against the Rangers, 13-3 last 16 meetings, and how about 21-6 now their last 27 games against the Texas Rangers. And Seattle's one of the real quirky teams, Joe, in that they have a winning record against winning teams, and oddly enough, a losing record against losing teams. Go figure. But they're 6 games over 500 against winning teams. They're a couple of games under, 3 under 500 against losing teams. Texas a winning team, not by a lot, but they are. It all adds up to give me Seattle, laying the buck 190. So, like I said, put it in a parlay if you don't want to lay the almost 2-1.
What did you think, too? Mason Miller gone to the Padres. Athletics, listen, they weren't gonna win a lot of games because of pitching anyway. Let's be realistic. But the A's, their season continues. It feels like there's going to be some value, even without Mason Miller in that bullpen, for them to win a couple of games at a pretty good price. Do you like them here tonight?
Yeah, I do, Joe. It's 2 ships going in opposite directions, and I don't know how long that ship is going to be continuing in this direction for the A's, but the bottom line is they're 6-1 their last 7 games. They've won 8 of the 12 meetings against Arizona, dating back to a couple of years. They're 26-33. That's not great, mind you. 7 games under 500, but it's not horrible. It's not like old Oakland A's being the worst team in the history of mankind. So they play decent ball, and then you got Arizona. Good luck in trying to figure out who's in that lineup after all the trades yesterday. What is that locker room like right now, right? I mean, they lost 5 in a row. So I get the A's at home, -120 against a team that clearly has waved the white flag. I mean, I know you don't want to bet on the A's too often, but I think tonight in this series is one opportunity where you can.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, Arizona, they waved the white flag leading right up to it. They have been absolutely atrocious here. And quite honestly, I'm shocked they didn't find a taker for Zach Gallen either. And it was just Merrill Kelly, who I don't hate that move to the Rangers, but Arizona is clearly looking forward to next season and trying to hit the reset button. By the way,
and I'll tell you what, Joe,
just fire. Go ahead.
I was just gonna throw in there, and also the A's, they're 19-19 against losing teams. They can't be winning teams at all, but they hold their own against clubs like Arizona.
Yep. Yeah, the Twins were the other fire sale that have just thrown in the white flag. In with Joe Ryan on the mound. The Guardians have already scored here. They're threatening again in the bottom of the first inning. So did not quite understand that price either because I thought there was a lot of rumors about the Guardians maybe starting to sell, but they held down too. Stephen Kwan's still in this lineup here tonight. Yeah, don't believe everything that you hear when it comes to the trade deadline. But we got a couple more games and a WNBA game we want to talk about with Scott as Game Time Decisions continues.
Joaquin Neiman wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour in I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? Whoa, I don't remember that one day.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my dynasty league, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a dynasty league, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we're getting ready here. A lot of Major League Baseball games underway already. We'll bring back in our good friend Scotty Wetzel. He'll have you covered of the top of the hour for In-Game Live alongside Gabe Morency. And I got to ask you, though, Scott, interesting, of all places, Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee is going to feature the Braves and the Reds tomorrow, and they have already sold 85,000 tickets to this game on the infield of one of the most iconic NASCAR tracks that we have. I don't hate the idea. I hate the two teams they're sending, but I don't hate the idea of it.
Yeah, listen, if you follow the Savannah Bananas at all, they do play in football stadiums. So if they can play in football stadiums and figure out a way to have a logistic, field, and why not a racetrack, right? I get Cincinnati, that's close enough. Atlanta's close enough. We get both fan bases. They love this stuff, right? With the Field of Dreams games, I don't know why they stopped that. I really don't. I mean, they get sold out crowds for the Field of Dream games in Iowa. But after 2 games, I think they did, right? And then they stopped doing that. So I guess maybe they wanted to kind of spread it all around. So figure out how you could get a baseball field. I'm curious to see what the dimensions will be. Do we bet the over in that, or do we bet the under? It's kind of weird, but okay, why not?
I think they said, was it 305 down the lines, 400 to center field on a hot, humid day in Texas? Should be a whole lot of runs coming in that ballpark there. Should be fun to watch, though. We got some WNBA here tonight. Full slate of games here, Scotty. You got New York and Connecticut getting ready to tip it off, Indiana and Dallas. What do you like here tonight?
Yeah, I got a few here, Joe. Let's start with Indiana. They're taking on a Dallas team that is one of the worst in the WNBA this side of Connecticut, right? Probably the worst team. They're going to get better, but they're bad. We're going to go over team points for Indiana, 89.5. Fever have played them twice already this year. They scored 94 points in one game and 102 in the other. No reason to think at this point they won't get to 90. In fact, FanDuel offers a bet. It's not a bad little, hunch play. Will Indiana score 100 points or more? They're giving you almost 5-1 when I saw it this afternoon, plus 480. Knowing they put 94 and 102 on the board, maybe put a couple sprinkles on that one, as well as the regular over 89.5. Got to go with the under New York and Connecticut. Last 10 games, it's 172. It's a big number. Last 10 games between these two teams, they've only had 173 points one time, and it was 100-52 this past earlier this season. So 172 points, you need two teams to contribute, and I don't know if Connecticut will. And then you got 3 of New York's best players, Brianna Stewart, Sabali, and Burke, woman's not playing tonight. So that's 33 points on the board that they're going to be missing. So I don't know how they get to 173 points. I really don't. I'll give you 2 more. We'll go under 154, Golden State at Chicago, Joe. Golden State, the number 1 under team in the WNBA, 17-9 under. They lost their leading scorer. They're also the leading rebounder. They're 3-1 straight up and 3-1 under without her. So things haven't, stopped for Golden State. They're an under team, and they're even more so an under team. Go figure. And Chicago is probably the 3rd worst team, if not the 2nd worst in the WNBA. Then I'll give you the head scratcher of the day, Joe. Maybe you can make heads or tails of this. It's a little prop. LA Sparks taking on Seattle. First up, Seattle is out-rebounded as a team by nearly 6 rebounds a game by the opposition, one of the worst in the WNBA, right? We got Azura Stevens, a forward for LA. She averages 8.6 rebounds. They're giving us 7.5. They played 3 times this year. Stevens has had 8, 10, and 10 rebounds against Seattle, and yet they're giving us 7.5 rebounds as the number. I don't know why. No, right? Doesn't make sense. So I'll bite. I don't going to be saying I do it if she gets 7 or 6 or 5 rebounds tonight, but give me over 7.5 Stevens, LA Sparks.
Yeah, that's going to be the late game. That is going to be interesting here, too. The money to the over in that one has come in. I expect a little more defense maybe in that one than the 170 points that they are anticipating. Either which way, though, Scotty, good news is you get to cover all of these games with Gabe Morency coming up top of the hour for In-Game Live, of course. A lot of Major League Baseball here, a lot of WNBA action. Sure, Gabe's got something to say about the CFL game. We'll have more, too, as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Joaquin Neiman wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. Worth it.
So, here's why JY is great. Because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? When did I don't remember that one. Hey,
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Getting ready here. Loaded slate. Major League Baseball, some WNBA here tonight. We have got you covered on the SportsGrid Network here on this Friday. We also got a lot more games still to get you caught up with here. Let's welcome in our good friend Rob Donaldson here, who's like the rest of us trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, what team is he on now? What's going on? I mean, we just watched some of the new additions already make an impact on their new teams. It looks like Yastrzemski, who was a Giant, is now a Royal. Looks like he has just put them up 2-1 over Toronto with a 2-run home run. It's going to take a lot of teams with a lot of new shiny toys here, Rob, tonight. It's going to be interesting to see, especially when it comes to bullpen work, how these managers, Mets, Yankees, Padres, how they're going to utilize these bullpens moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees essentially have 5 guys in their pen right now who are closers within the last 2 years at some point in time. I mean, how does that kind of play with egos and just general workload of guys who were seeing the game every time it was high leverage and now maybe getting in the game when they're down 2 runs? Like, we've seen Craig Kimbrell go from the Chicago Cubs and, pitching really well and then go to the White Sox and be absolutely shelled every single time out. And who knows what kind of happens when that dynamic is at play. And, he brought up the shiny new toys. There's the other side of that coin where a lot of teams are going to fall off a cliff here too.
Yeah, no, there are teams I think that we can consider already that have fallen off a cliff. I mean, the Twins had a ridiculous fire sale. Arizona threw the white flag, and it felt like a week and a half ago. The Guardians right now up 1-0 over Minnesota. You've got Arizona coming up a little bit later. There are just some of these teams, Rob, that we have to consider, at least initially, guys that are calling up 6 or 7 minor leaguers just to fill the rosters out are probably not going to give great efforts here this weekend, no?
Yeah, and what we kind of know about youthful pitching over the last couple of years is it gets shelled. Like, there's not a lot of Jacob Mizorowskis out there when you're looking at, a team by team or guys who come up and immediately are just shut down starting pitchers. And also, when you're talking about youthful bats being inserted into a lineup, sometimes that does bring runs. And so you're going to have a lot of what I think are going to be overs through the first five, through the full game, and maybe not a lot of competent baseball being played and kind of the muck of it as well.
Yeah, I agree. But we still got a couple of, I mean, great weekend series in Seattle with the American League West. Both these teams trying to catch the Astros, who are up 1-0 in Fenway right now. But Texas gets blanked last night, 6-0. Gilbert going for Seattle tonight. Leiter, who's actually been pretty good back-to-back starts, although they have been home and not on the road. Do we like Texas to get back into this one and a bounce back, or do we think Seattle continues to roll tonight?
Well, this Rangers lineup that's been much maligned all season long because they weren't producing, and then they kind of sat on their hands and didn't really add anybody to this lineup. Well, now over the past, 2-3 weeks, this Rangers lineup is actually performing like we kind of thought they would in terms of the names are showing up, the runs are showing out, and this pitching staff from the rotation all the way to the bullpen might actually be the best in baseball in terms of like a 2 or 3 game set, especially if you have Evaldi, DeGrom, and Merrill Kelly going out there. And I also kind of think when you're talking about just in general, the Rangers approach, or in this game in particular, the Mariners approach, I think it's going to be a lot of runs. I think both starting pitchers are going to get tagged up, and that's kind of how I see this game going through the first 5.
What are you thinking with the other team that kind of bolstered everything there? Mason Miller, now a Padre. The Padres are just crazy to me. AJ Peller, bless him. He's never made a move he didn't like to make, especially when it involves high-profile guys. But is it enough? I mean, the Padres are at home tonight. Pivetta on the mound. It looks like the Cardinals might also be looking to, hey, let's look ahead to the future. Man, that's a big price at almost $2 here for the Padres, though.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if, the front office for the Padres is crazy or just very opportunistic and trying to take advantage of their window, because you look over at the Washington Nationals with Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, and James Wood. Those were all part of one trade for a guy who was a half-year rental. And now they're kind of in the same boat where they got a lot of talented one-year rentals. It has never paid off to this date. And a lot of their core is getting older and not, I won't say regressing, but maybe not playing it as they would in their primes necessarily. And for that reason, I kind of got to see it from the Padres. But once again, I still feel like they're going to be a competent ball club game by game here.
Yeah, and by the way, Pivetta has been lights out at home. I think 11 home starts, 6-0 so far on the season. So he, for his faults maybe on the road, he has certainly been pretty good. And we all know he's got a pretty good bullpen to back him up there and get it going. Did not understand the Tampa Bay and Dodgers line tonight. I don't understand the moves Tampa made at all. But the Dodgers were in Tampa before Tampa was yesterday, given the fact that they didn't play, and Tampa had a 9-hour rain delay in the Bronx. So it has not been 8-21 since the end of June is what the Tampa Bay Rays are, and they've gotten all the money here today.
Yeah, and Tampa Bay, in terms of their roster building, just never makes sense. It's like they watched Moneyball too many times and we're just like, let's get as many team-controlled guys for cheap contracts as we can off of Isaac Paredes for Krista Morel last year was one of the examples. And, the Rays tonight in just kind of a one-off game, I do actually really like them in this spot. That offense has been humming as of late, and I do feel like when you have a team like a Bayer and the Dodgers, sometimes there's this like little bit of like an early hype window post trade deadline that you can kind of take advantage of with like these inflated lines. And that's why I think we're seeing in that game right there.
That game just underway, top of the first. Kershaw on the mound there. Shane Baz going for the Tampa Bay Rays. And what do you do then when you've got a couple of the bottom feeders that are used to being on the bottom here, like Pittsburgh and Colorado? Rob, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this isn't. Yeah, Pittsburgh is a huge favorite on the road in Colorado. Wait, what? Why is Pittsburgh a favorite over anybody, Rob?
It's a fantastic question. And listen, 2 months ago, we were talking about Andrew Heaney as potentially one of the star trade guys on the market, and he kind of pitched himself off of that spot with I think a sub or a 6 ERA or north of that over the past 2 months. And now maybe he's going to try to work back into the mix for the offseason, get himself a contract with another team. He's kind of that ultimate journeyman right now, but you're right. In a one game set, I don't think the Pirates should ever be this kind of favorite, even if a guy does have that mentality behind him.
I do not, under any circumstance. I mean, how can you lay money on Pittsburgh on the road? I don't care where they are playing. You also, we know Arizona. All right, they're looking around the locker room right now, and there's a lot of faces gone, and they're taking on the A's, who, outside of Mason Miller, are pretty much intact here. So what do we think at that price?
Absolutely. I love teams like this that were never really in contention and decided to sit on what they have because they have so many youthful guys and pieces for the future with team control. And heck, even the guy on the bump tonight outside of the lineup with Jacob Lopez is a strike thrower. He's one of those dudes who's going to go out there and K at least 7 or 8 dudes every single time. And the A's lineup behind him is very solid. And to your point, still intact. The A's are going to be one of the teams I probably back the most on the back end here because they're going to get better as the season goes on without having made any sort of moves at the deadline here.
Yeah, we got a 3-run home run by Detroit Gleyber Torres to put the Tigers up on top of the Phillies here in the top of the third. Rob, stay right there. I want to get your thoughts on some of the big picture stuff, too, after the deadline as Game Time Decisions continues on the grid.
Joaquin Neiman wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry is our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey coming off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
So, here's why JY is great, because sometimes it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? Whoa, I don't remember that one, JY.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
So I drafted Aaron Jones in my dynasty league, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a dynasty league, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 11.38. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got some updates here in Major League Baseball. We'll get you caught up with Joe Raineri here on Game Time Decisions, the SportsGrid Network. We welcome back in our good friend Rob Donaldson here. And Rob, Bobby Witt Jr. with a 3-run home run now to back Yastrzemski's 2-run shot. Now a 5-1 Kansas City lead over Toronto. Gaussman had been very good over the last month or so, but not good so far here. Not looking good there. We did see the Gleyber Torres 3-run home run as the Phillies are on top, or Phillies rather are trailing at home to Detroit, but still early in that one here. Boy, has Kansas City, they were an interesting team because, they made a lot of moves during the, this last week, 2 weeks here leading into the trade deadline. Certainly not sellers, but it looks like the bats have come alive for them lately.
Yeah, they were almost like tentative adders when it was all said and done because they had guys to bolster a lineup that was pretty much non-existent in the early goings, and they retained enough starting pitching talent and rotation and bullpen arms to really kind of actually stay competent on the back end here as well. And so when you are looking at it from that view, this might have been a team that surprisingly just got better. And again, kind of like the A's, because of that factor at play, yeah, maybe they're not making a postseason run, but from a betting standpoint, game by game, they might have quite a bit of value here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch. Will they catch Detroit? Remains to be seen, but there are certainly some wild card spots up for grabs here. Hunter Brown and the Astros are up 1-0 at Fenway in this game here. Criswell ended up getting the start. We didn't know who was really pitching for the Red Sox, who didn't make a ton of moves. They got some secondary arms, including whatever cast-offs the Dodgers want to send them, whether it be Dusty May or Walker Buehler. But it is 1-0 here. Lot was made about Houston's move to get Correa, but is that enough here in your mind?
Well, I think when you look at the Astros and you factor in that at some point Yordan Alvarez is going to be back in this lineup, I feel like you're adding like any sort of consolation bat's definitely going to be a huge plus. Whether maybe it's not right now, but maybe it's going to be here in a month. And to that point, Carlos Correa, a little bit over the hill, but still very, he provides a lot of value in terms of his bat, and he's competent enough in the field that you can put him out there and not just at a DH role. And so I do feel like they did bolster their lineup enough with just that move to really make a push at this thing. And the Red Sox are kind of one of those teams in the mix of like kind of sitting on their hands or tentatively buying. Obviously, they got rid of Devers, which is a whole sort of other deal to this trade deadline scenario. But I still think that they're going to be carrying quite a bit of value here in the second half just because they didn't go full fire sale and get rid of everybody here.
Yeah, they did not. But I mean, Houston is Houston. There's still a really good bullpen, and you get Alvarez back in that lineup. It's going to be interesting moving forward. You mentioned the Giants, who traded for Devers and then all of a sudden became the worst team in the National League. So outside of Colorado, of course. But 2-0 here. They got to Peterson early. They're in the top of the third here, it looks like, or heading to the bottom of the third. What did we think here, Peterson versus Ray? How are you leaning in this one?
Well, two guys who keep the ball on the ground, and that's been the Giants' MO, because if it gets to the outfield, that's where they make a ton of errors. But if it stays within the infield, or if it's just kind of in the pitcher's hands, like a Robbie Ray, the strikeouts are going to be there, and they're going to play clean within the infield. And from that standpoint, I really like the under in that game. I don't know what the live line is sitting at, but if it's anything like that 7.5 to start the game, I would kind of like that spot even more now, just with the potential to get maybe a better number with 2 early runs.
Yeah, you're talking about, that's a good point here, as I'm seeing, almost 2-1 here for the Mets. You can get them at plus 200 here as it's all San Francisco, but they're only in the bottom of that third inning here. Also, no score with the Yankees and the Marlins. I don't know that that's I don't know what we were expecting, but I didn't expect a ton of runs at that ballpark in this spot here. The under felt like a decent play, and it looks like we're heading in that direction.
Yeah, and I was riding the under of 7.5 pregame as well. And in large part, as crazy as it sounds, the Marlins bullpen has been the best bullpen in terms of the month of July. And that's been a consistent trend, even bleeding back into June as well. And when you have that standpoint of this kind of feeling like a quote unquote bullpen game, I do feel like that's a really good opportunity to buy low on that total when maybe people don't really buy into the Marlins actually being one of those teams that can keep other teams off the board.
We got 2 runs already, top of the first in Tampa. Dodgers are up 2-0 in that one. But Milwaukee is up 6-2 right now in the top of the fourth. And I'm sorry. I mean, if you look at some of these future prizes for the Dodgers, National League pennant, World Series, the markets are telling you nobody else should bother playing. And yet, the Milwaukee Brewers are the only team that's shown me consistently this year that they got no problem going in and beating the Dodgers here. It's just not a great matchup for the Dodgers. What do you think the ceiling is for this Milwaukee Brewers team?
I mean, heck, the great thing about the Brewers right now, even with not being maybe the clear-cut winners in terms of additions at the deadline, I actually feel like they were the winners at the deadline just by proxy because the Cubs didn't make any moves. And that's who the competition is for the NL Central. And yeah, I get it. The Cubs still have the bats and they maybe believe in the rotation guys to stay pat and still challenge Milwaukee down the stretch here. But the fact that your biggest contender wasn't really a big buyer when they had all the ammunition, I think that gives you a little bit of hope if you're a Milwaukee's Brewer player or even just a fan of the team.
Again, they're not household names, but that lineup can score with the best of them here, and they got a pretty good way of doing it. But just like that starting rotation in a short series, that's going to be and a pretty darn good bullpen, too, with a lights-out closer. I think that's going to be an interesting watch here the rest of the way. Rob Donaldson, always a pleasure, my man. We appreciate the time, as always. Hopefully, we'll see you over the weekend. We got more to get to and updates on the scoreboard as Game Time Decisions continues here on the grid.
Joaquin Neiman wins for the 5th time on the Live Golf Tour. And I don't know how many starts they've had. Is it 9 at this point? Probably, maybe 10. So he's won half the time virtually.
He has, and this is again a stat. Sean Lowry's our guy who sends me live stats every week.
I love that you get live stats every week from.
It's so good.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Sadiq Bey come off the bench. Alvarado missed a lot of time. Jordan Hawkins has had his moments. So, and remember, they picked out even a guy like Kevon Looney off the bench. So, to me, they could be there. You know what? And it's crazy because last year I was so big on them, and now I'm off of them. But I'm going to say it. Fly Pelican. 7-1. Fly Pelican. Fly Pelican fly. 7-1. What's the...
Here's why JY is great, because sometimes I almost, it's tough when I sell JY, because now what will happen is, right? I mean, listen, it's the middle of the summer. You know what I mean? And what's going to happen in 2 months from now, JY's going to go, now listen, me and K-Dub love these Pelicans. I'm like, when did I say that? I don't remember that one day.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I drafted Aaron Jones in my Dynasty League, but he's like my 4th running back, to let you know that people don't really believe in him. And by the way, when you play in a Dynasty League, I always play to win this year. I don't worry about next year. I want to win now. Flags fly forever. I'll worry about next year. So, but I got Aaron Jones last year, 1138. So he's going to drop that down by almost 50% not to get this total here. Yeah, I think he gets. I'll take the over.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in as we look to close out this edition of Game Time Decisions. Plenty more coming your way here. Just a few minutes. We'll pass the baton off to Scotty Wetzel and Gabe Morency as In-Game Live will take over And there is a lot to go over in game right now in Major League Baseball, as we got some runs in a few of these games. We've got a lack of runs in a few others. Couple of pitchers duels happening right now. You've got Houston on the road against the Red Sox. They're up just 1-0 here as they are in the bottom of the third inning. Hunter Brown on the mound. However, in the bottom of the third right now, Hunter Brown finds himself in a little bit of trouble, second and third with 2 outs. We'll see if he can pitch out of that and maintain that 1-0 lead. We're still waiting to see where the scoring is coming from in the Miami and Yankee game. We haven't had any right now. They are in the bottom of the third, no score. Of course, Carlos Rodon taking on Junk for Miami. We felt that game was a pretty good under to begin with, and that's exactly where it is heading. Still 2-0, by the way. Dodgers in the top of the second got 2 in the top of the first off of Shane Baz. That is your score there, as the Rays having a little bit of trouble getting the offense going. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers in that one. Top of the fourth, Flaherty, and he's kind of rolling right through this Philadelphia lineup right now. 3-run Gleyber Torres home run has put Detroit up. But if you think maybe Philadelphia is going to get back into this one, you can still get a 1.5 here at plus money if you want to look at the home team with Ranger Suarez on the mound in that one. The Royals have not stopped hitting. 5-1, couple of home runs in that one. Bobby Witt Jr. as well as Yaz Yastrzemski, newly traded and acquired Yastrzemski, former Giant. I would like to say the Giants could actually use some runs, but we'll get to that game in a minute. But a 2-run homer by him, 3-run homer by Bobby Witt Jr. And just like that, Gausman having a rough day. It is a 5-1 Royals lead as they are going to get ready to head to the fourth inning in that one. And listen, maybe 2 runs is enough here, as that is exactly what the Giants have on the board at Citi Field. Robbie Ray wasn't altogether happy the last time he faced the Mets, which, by the way, was just last week. This is an interesting series because the Mets swept them over the last, 8 days, 9 days. The Mets ended up sweeping them. And now you've got, this is going to be the 4th, 5th, and 6th game that they're going to see each other in 10 days. Robbie Ray looking pretty good on the mound. Peterson had one bad inning, really, where they manufactured a couple of runs, because we all know Rafael Devers isn't hitting a home run. Who are we kidding on that one? But 2-0 here in the bottom of that third inning. 6-2, Milwaukee on top of the Nats, as the Milwaukee Brewers just can do no wrong as they continue to roll. And we did have, of course, 2 games that finished already today. One of them being the Reds getting back here. Brady Singer ends up getting it done here today. 3-2. They ran out of, I guess they were tired of scoring runs yesterday in that 8th inning, where the both teams scored 16 total runs in the 8th inning. That game went to extra innings, in which Atlanta came back to win, but a little less runs here in this one, 3-2. And of course, tomorrow is the Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee, as they have built a major league field right in the pit there on the field in this NASCAR stadium, one of the most classic and iconic NASCAR tracks. 85,000 tickets have been sold to go to a NASCAR track to watch the Reds and the Braves tomorrow. 7:15, by the way, will be the first pitch there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I believe Strider taking on the rookie Burns in that matchup there. But we still got a lot more Major League Baseball coming your way tonight. Texas and Seattle. The Padres, in fact, at home taking on the Cardinals. A lot of new toys these teams have to play with. Who will come through? Well, you don't have to go very far to figure that out, because we have got you covered not just tonight, but all weekend long here on the SportsGrid Network. Gabe Morency, Scotty Wetzel coming up next in Game Live. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games. We'll see you Monday on Game Time Decisions.